Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Colleen at MikeColleen.com. Alright, so today we're going to talk about a couple things that I actually already recorded. So I'm going to go to that recording because I saved those 2 or 3 pieces, and we'll start right there, and then I'll add into that. I found an article with some doctors that have finally agreed with what I've been saying for 2.5 years. The very same reason why you guys were attracted to this channel and why you like it. Remember, you found it here first because this is the original. And then I'm going to wrap it up with 1, 2, maybe 3 memes with some messages on there and kind of give you a little bit of explanation and teaching. So I made a video a little while back. I thought I understood why you guys were like, this channel just took off about 2 months ago, maybe a little more than that. Maybe 3 months now. And I thought I had it. I thought it was because I started putting images in instead of recording myself. I thought it was the music. I thought it was a couple other things in. Turns out what it really is you guys wanted to kick ass. At least a dozen of you guys have left me messages saying your channel is the only channel that basically says go on the attack, go on the offensive, or fight back. And that's what we're all about, and you're going to find this next article very interesting. Okay, so I'm going to give you the title, and I'm going to put the link in the description. If I forget to do that, remind me. So here's what it is. By the Insider, it's Narcissists all follow the same patterns. Here are some of the most common phrases they use to manipulate you. You guys want to know what's funny? The people that put this all together, the people that discovered all the stuff, it wasn't the doctor, it wasn't the medical community, it wasn't the psychologist, it was us. Because for how many decades, hundreds of years, thousands of years, has the psychologist, medical community, etc. completely missed this? And here's the deal, even if you were a psychologist, you wouldn't understand narcissist abuse if it smacked you upside the head. You wouldn't understand it if you read a book about it, if you read 10 books, if you took 10 classes on it. But when you go through the fire, you have to deal with the bullshit, and you finally pop open, all of a sudden you start putting the pieces together. You literally start seeing their patterns and their strategies and the tactics and their techniques. And as you read this article, we're all going, yeah, we've been saying this literally for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years now. But hey, at least they're finally catching up, huh? And you know who they're giving the credit to? Themselves. A little bit narcissistic, to be honest with you. Yep, swoop right on in from the people who've been through the hell, been through the nightmare, been through the fire, and just take the teachings, the learnings, and the lessons that they've been putting out there on social media for years, and then take credit for it. Good job, guys. Let's just put something out there right now. It was the community, us, that healed ourselves, that healed each other, that helped each other. It wasn't them. In fact, they still are catching up. They still don't quite understand what's going on. In fact, a lot of them are on YouTube giving us the worst advice. Number 1, meaning, back away slowly, be afraid, lions and tigers and bears, oh my. And what we found out is the quieter you are, the more timid you are, the more aggressive they become towards us. And that was the absolute wrong advice. And that's what this article is about. Okay, so let me just start. I'm just gonna skip right to the meat of why I'm putting this up here. Okay, here we go. Let me find it real quick here. Okay, so this one is by psychiatrist Dr. Edward Ratouche. Okay, forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. So let me scroll down where he says, let's see here. All right, here it is. It says, leaving a narcissist can resemble defending oneself against a shark, said Ratouche. You have to punch them right in the nose, he said. Despite the fierceness of their appearance, they often crumble when confronted. Their bullying ways will quickly dissolve and reveal what's beneath. And that's a coward. I'm melting. I'm melting. For those of you who don't know what that's from The Wicked Witch from The Wizard of Oz. So watch that movie, The Wizard of Oz. It is about narcissist abuse. It even has flying monkeys in there. It even has where Toto pulls the curtain out and reveals the Wizard of Oz, this tiny little weak old man who's scaring everyone with these big, loud, fake voices. Sorry, I said big, loud, fake voices. You know how the narcissist lowers his voice and tries to sound tough, like a tough guy. Oh god, another thing they do is they try to say things that make him sound tough. Like the last one I dealt with, he literally told me, he goes, "I've got street cred around here." And I'm looking at him like, "Bro, you got no street cred." Like, you, oh my god. I looked at him like, "Dude, you don't got street cred around here, bro." Alright, so here's the deal. The melting witch is symbolic of what happens when you confront a narcissist or you call them on any of their bullshit. Or like Toto when he grabbed the curtain and he pulled the curtain wide open and all of a sudden this little wizard he's powerful, and the minute he was revealed, it's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm sorry." So now all these doctors on this article are saying the same damn thing. Let me go back to where he said, it said, you have to punch them right in the nose, he said. Despite the fierceness of their appearance, they often crumble when confronted. And isn't that what I've been saying for 2.5 years? You've got these other doctors online going, no, back away slowly, be a coward, be a weakling. Here's what we have learned from that. Number one, when you do not stand up firmly, speak loudly, get in their face and call them on their BS, they become extremely aggressive towards you to the point that they may actually kill you. Now here's what you've got to understand. They will never get to that point if you stand up, because then they get freaking scared. Because in real life, if you watch sharks, they really check out their prey. They want to make sure this is a very easy kill. They don't want any kind of complications. Now, the reason why Dr. Ratouche says punch him right in the nose when he's referring to a shark is because a shark's nose has all these, it's like their radar system. They have very sensitive smell, and it's also on the nose, the outside of the nose. They have like receptors, so they can sense things from far away, okay? So it's an extremely sensitive area. So if you punch them right in the nose, they don't want to have nothing to do with you, and they're gone. That's why when people tell you how do you survive a shark attack, you punch them in the nose. And if you can't punch them in the nose, dig your thumb into their eye and try to dig it out. They will let go, and they will run away immediately. Oh, and by the way, this works for humans too in real life. Seriously. So here's the deal. It's the same thing with a bully. The minute you punch a bully back, stand up to a bully, especially if you do it publicly, they're like, "Oh shit," because they're used to going after victims. Remember, what do they say? Narcissists will only go after willing victims that just roll over and play dead and let them just abuse them. The minute you stand up again and again, they're like, "Shit, man, this person's not backing off." That's why you gotta be the honey badger. Honey badgers don't give a shit. And the honey badger, he bites really hard. And like the honey badger, you have to be relentless. So a lot of people come to me like, "Well, how long do you got to do this?" Each and every time, forever. Never, ever back down again, ever. And trust me, eventually they're going to be like, "Man, I just can't do this," and they'll back off. Because honey badgers don't give a shit. Alright, so in this article they got a lot of things that you've already heard. I'm sure if you've already read it, you've seen the list. But let me just go over a little bit of it. I don't want to go over too much because you can read it yourself if you're really that interested. So one thing they say narcissists often follow the same pattern in relationships. Idealize, devalue, discard, right? So that's the love bombing, devalue, discard, and they forgot the hoovering. They also have a certain way of talking to manipulate their victims. Here are some of the things narcissists are likely to say in relationships and when to expect it. So one thing they say is they go really quick. Alright, so if you're dealing with someone who wants to go out right away, they want to, maybe get in a relationship, move in really fast, don't do it. Especially if they want you to move out of town and live with them, because they're trying to make you go homeless. I made a book, not a book, but I made a video about this. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, please pay attention. If they're trying to get you to move out and move into an apartment with them or move into their apartment or their home, or and especially if they're trying to get you to move across country, move the other, to the Midwest or to another country, I am telling you, it is a setup. They will basically just treat you like absolute crap, and when they have completely devalued you and completely dehumanized you and you have no self-esteem left, that's when they're either going to move out and leave you with a whole bill, and if you can't afford it, you're going to get kicked out eventually. The other thing they will do is they will kick you out. Here's another thing that they will do, and there's one more after this. If they find out that you have plenty of money, like in savings or put somewhere, they will borrow it. They will try to get you to spend it. They will say, oh, I need to borrow the money. I want to buy a car. I'll pay it back, I promise. They will never pay it back. Once they take your money, once they've got you to either spend it or somehow get rid of it, they will pull the rug out from underneath you, and I guarantee you, you're going to end up homeless because of it. Do not give them your money. Here's a tip. Don't tell them. Put money aside and never tell them that you have it. Don't do it. It is a wrong move, because I guarantee you they're going to end up finding a way to beg, borrow, or steal it, or somehow get it out of your hands. I'm telling you right now, if you're planning on moving out, moving away from your family and friends and moving in with someone else, a lover, boyfriend, even if it's just a friend or a business associate, I am telling you right now, if you're listening to this video, this was meant to be. You were meant to hear this. Don't do it. Here's another tip. If you decide to move across the country or a state away or whatever, where you're isolated, because that's what their number one goal is to get you away from your friends and family so they can abuse the crap out of you until you can't even think for yourself, to where you have no heart, no soul, you have no self-esteem, no self-confidence at all. If you're gonna move, make sure you have $5,000 or $10,000 so you can fly back home and you can immediately get into your own apartment, okay? If you don't have plenty of money to be able to survive on your own for at least 6 months, do not do it. And here's the thing, if you have a family that hasn't exactly been nice to you, they'll do the same damn thing to you. My family actually tried to do this to me when I was in the hospital. They tried to make me homeless. The whole thing was a setup. They convinced me to move away from my dad, to move back home, etc. The whole thing was a setup. So do not think that your family won't do it to you. Luckily, I had a really good friend that said, hey, you can live with me for free. Oh, by the way, this angel, I think this angel is Metatron, which is actually in the Bible. Now here's the deal. They will wait until you get sick, until you get into a car accident, until something really bad happens and you are in the hospital. That's when they're going to pull the rug out from underneath you. I am telling you, don't let it happen. Now here's another tip. Do not quit your job for them. If they're saying, you should quit your job. So here's what's going to happen. Everyone has a bad day at work, even 2 days. We might even have a difficult week, a difficult month. If they're saying, well, you should quit your job, just quit your job, I'll take care of you. Bullshit, I'm telling you. It's a setup. Your best bet is to save money, have a good job, keep your job. Do not let them convince you to change anything. Have a savings so if anything happens, you have a backup. Here's another thing. If you have a car that you really like or anything that you really like, they'll try to convince you to sell it. And then they'll convince you to take a car that you don't like. Don't fucking do it. Here's an essential verbiage of a narcissist. Let's say you want to do something. Here's what to do. Oh, don't do that. Do this instead. Oh, don't buy that. Buy this instead. Oh, don't own that car. Sell that car and buy this one over here instead. It's better for you. Bullshit. They're just trying to take control of your mind, and they're trying to take away the things that make you feel good about yourself. Alright, so sometimes you have to be disrespectful to show people that you were being respectful the entire time. So what does this mean? Remember, a narcissist brain is very backwards, okay? So literally, I know this is what you did. You loved them, you treated them well, you did everything you could, and all of a sudden they're treating you like shit. They're accusing you of stuff. You're like, whoa, what's going on? Like, dude, I didn't do that. So here's what happens. All right, so here's what happens. So with me, when I freaking was like, I'm fed up. I'm absolutely done. Don't ever call me again. Don't ever. And I blocked them and everything. They're like, holy shit, they're serious. So here's what happens. For the first couple months, they think you're going to come back. You're going to fold. You're going to give in. Because their ego is like, oh, I'm so beautiful. I'm so wonderful. I'm so amazing. They literally don't get that you're like, F off, dude. Fuck off. In a million years, they couldn't imagine that they're not the prize to you. So here's what, remember, in their mind, they twist everything. So here you were, loving, kind, compassionate, trying to be helpful, being understanding, and you didn't do a damn thing wrong, and they're accusing you of all this shit. And so finally, like, you know what, I guess I can't win with you, so fuck off, don't ever call me again. You finally leave, and here's what happens. You become addicted to them. You're rude. You've been listening to my advice. You tell them to F off. You block them. You do all that stuff. And then their brain goes, oh, hey, wait a minute. Like in my case, I went pure asshola. I became the biggest dick to this person, the biggest asshole. I was like, fuck you. I was fucking done. And then when they came back 5 months later and they said, oh, if you just listen to me say this one thing, then you'll understand. And they didn't, and they never gave me this one thing, and then they started to blame shift on me. Oh, I was fucking done. I just looked at them like, you are a total fucking piece of shit. So from that point forward, I was like, fuck them. And now here's what happens. When you become totally disrespectful because they worked really, really hard and very, very long to earn that disrespect, once you start shoving it in their face and like, man, this person's not backing down, their brain goes through a reevaluation phase. They start to look back on the way you used to treat them compared to how you're treating them now, and they start going, wait a minute, they were being nice to me. Like their brain has this massive aha moment realization, like, holy shit, that was all in my mind. They were actually being nice to me before, because now you gave them contrast. Now they're seeing the other side going, oh, so now they realize, oh, they were being nice to me the whole time.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
All right, so here's what happens. They literally have to see the other side to get a comparison, and then they're like, oh, I get it. So before they were being nice, but now they're not. Because before you never showed them the other side. And the way a narcissist's brain works is they just, anything that you do, if someone's nice to you, they take that as an offense. If one of their friends likes you, they take that as an offense. And like, okay, I'm going to get revenge on this fucker. And you're like, dude, I didn't do anything. Number one, you didn't do anything. Number two, are you starting to realize how dumb narcissists are? Alright, now look at this meme. It says red flags aren't always about the other person. When you start lying to yourself about who they are so that they don't have to face so that you don't have to face losing them, that's the red flag to pay attention to. In fact, that is the biggest red flag. From this point forward, see people as they are. See them for who they are, period, end of sentence. Did they lie? Mark that down. Did they lie again? Did they do something wrong? Did they say they'll meet you somewhere and they never showed up? Did they call you and then say, oh, are you mad at me? And you're like, why would I be mad at you? And then, oh, well, I don't know. Well, because they stood you up for it the second, third, fourth fucking time. And then you can say, hey, man, why didn't you show up? It's like, oh, well, I got busy at work, and when I realized I couldn't meet you, I couldn't show up. And then you say, well, when did you realize that? And say, oh, about 1 o'clock. Then say, well, why didn't you call me? And then they'll say, oh, I never thought about that. Meaning, they don't give a shit. I mean, how shitty is that to set up an appointment with someone, a meeting, and then number one, not show up, and then number two, when you bring like, well, why didn't you call me? And they're like, oh, I never thought about that. I mean, look, they did think about it. The reason why they said that to you is because they wanted to hurt you. That's part of the devaluing phase. They said it on purpose, because a lot of people don't catch these things consciously, but they do feel it unconsciously in their emotions and in their body and emotional body, and it makes them feel bad. It hurts you. That's why they did it. It's part of the devaluing phase. So they can beat you down to where you have no self-esteem. So now they get to play kick the can with your head. Alright, so it says many people will love the idea of you, but will lack the maturity to handle the reality of you. And here's what I mean. So I made a video about either the last 2 or 3 or 4 ago. Narcissists in general, they really love the idea of having you in their life, and a lot of people do, but what ends up happening is they don't want to be honest. They don't want to deal with who you are. They can't handle your honesty. They can't handle your genuineness. Your authenticity makes them insecure. I just made a couple videos about that about 3 or 4 videos ago. So here's the deal. When you meet someone, you start becoming friends with them, or in a relationship, or even a business relationship, if they start showing signs of they're uncomfortable around you, just cut it off. Get rid of them. Because here's the deal. These are people that don't want to face their own shit. And here's what happens. When people spend time with each other, your shit, your stuff starts to come up. Your mistakes, your insecurities, and all that stuff. People that are narcissistic or narcissist, or people that aren't mature, they're not going to deal with it. So they're going to be like, yeah, I got to get out of here. Because they can't handle, like it says, it's like, many people will love the idea of you, but will lack the maturity to handle the reality of who you are. Sometimes your energy alone, your presence alone, is too powerful for them to feel comfortable around you, because they're not comfortable with themselves. Do not try to build up their self-esteem. Do not try to look the other way like you didn't see it. See them for who they are and realize like, wow, I have to build this person's self-esteem up, which means they've got a lot of personal work to do, and all it's going to cause is problems. So it's like when you're like, oh, it's okay, and after a while you're like, dude, this is taking up all my time, energy, it's distracting, etc. So they're going to have to go do their work. That's the way life works. You cannot fix someone else. Stop thinking that. If you need help with any of this stuff, confidence building, success building, internal work, dealing with your emotions and feelings, I am a professionally trained life coach, personal development coach. I'm an NLP trainer, master hypnotherapist, and on and on and on, as you saw in the beginning of this video. I'm also a specialist in dating and relationship coaching. There's a brand new discovery that I made in communication that gives women mentally stimulating and emotionally fulfilling communication, so you can connect with him on a deeper, more meaningful level. God bless you guys. Remember, click the subscribe button, click the like button, make a comment. I'll see you guys in the next video. And remember, if you want to make a donation, there's a PayPal link right there in the description right below the video. God bless you guys. See you in the next video.